Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today's session we will see AWS for beginners playlist, okay, day 2, and which is the topic is Elastic Compute Cloud, okay, EC2 basically, okay. So as you aware about the EC2 instance, it's a similar to a try, normally when we can say what we can say basically it's a hardware machine or your computer, okay, or VMware basically VM machines, virtual box, what you can use the word basically the basically which has the component like CPU, memory, hard drive, network card, like that. Okay. So same way, the EC2 instance has the same component basically. It's if you look at the full form, basically it's Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud basically. Okay, and the AWS provides it's basically on demand basis. Okay, on demand scalable computing capacity. Okay, you can scale up or down anytime. There is no need to go to the market purchase, to hardware or anything to for the upgradation. Okay, so you don't need to go anywhere basically. You can just depend upon your workload and the requirements, you can scale up or down anytime. Okay, there is no such a restrictions basically. So as I said, it is similar to physical machines, like it has a CPU, memory and disk. Okay, and the operating system obviously. And by default AWS allowed key based authentication, not the password based. Okay, after launching the EC2 instance and login by using key pair method basically, you can definitely change, you can disable the key pair authentication mechanism, and you can enable the password based login there. Okay, authentication. Okay, but by default it's a key pair authentication. And EC2 can be useful for, you can use for the normal website hosting or any complex websites, maven based, java based something. Okay, and or you can store any kind of databases basically, install and manage the database over there. Okay, or you can store any application logs or any form of data basically. Okay, and as elastic city basically, you can anytime based on your requirements, you can stop and start the EC2 instance. Okay, let's say today you launch one EC2 instance and your work is done basically. Okay, it's a non-production server. So within a few clicks you can say, or single clicks, you can just shut down the server. Okay, you don't need to go to the data center or ask the data center engineer to make it shut down. Okay, you can simply log into the AWS console and you can simply stop it. Okay, anytime. And if you look at the EC2 components we are already discussed, you can see here the operating system basically, and then hard drive, CPU, okay, network card and your memory basically. Okay, and if you look at the EC2 architecture basically, so it has a, you can see here in the AWS account. Okay, there is a main thing like a region basically. Inside that you can just see the VPC, virtual private cloud, which is a network part basically. And in that you have a one public subnet, and in that public subnet you have launched one EC2 instance with attached security group. Okay, security group is a virtual firewall over there that is used for the controlling the traffic basically. And this instance has EBS volume attached. Okay, which is Amazon EBS. Okay, so this is the EC2 architecture basically. And to log in the this EC2 instance, you can use private key basically. Okay, so this is the EC2 instance architecture here. So if you look at the instance type basically, normally we in the traditional way we see, right, we know, if let's say we want to purchase any laptop or desktop basically, so first we ask the configuration basically, how much CPU, memory and generation kind of, stuff basically. So same way, when we launch EC2 instance in the AWS itself. Okay, there are couple of instance types basically, like general purpose, compute optimize, memory optimize, accelerated optimize. Okay, and storage optimize, and the HPC optimize. Okay, if you look at the in the detail basically, depend upon your use cases, you can select the proper instance family basically. Okay, if you look at the general purpose, this is for the sorry normal workload basically, not the complex one. And you can see the instance type here, T2 series, T3 or T4 something. Okay, and if you look at the compute optimize, it's basically when you have a little bit more, compute intensive applications which require more computing power basically, In that situation you can go with the C4 or C5 series, or you can see other series as well, right? And if you have a memory optimized or memory intensive applications which require more memory power, then you can go with the memory optimized EC2 instance. Okay, and if you look at the instance configuration, you can see there are R series or X series. Okay, if you want to sorry, if you want to look the detail configuration, how much CPU and the memory I will get by selecting, R4 series or R5 series. So you can just search is AWS EC2 instance type in the Google Chrome basically, and you will get this all the configurations, okay, in the detail way. For just now I'm showing this overview basically. Okay, so accelerated optimize, you can just check the definition basically. It's required for the data pattern matching or more efficient graphics processing calculations. Okay, in that case you can use this accelerated optimize. Okay, and if you look at the instance series basically, you can check the like P series, P3, P1, not P1, sorry, P2, P3, P4. Okay, and G series here, right? And if you look at the storage optimize, if sometimes you require more storage, okay, storage optimize instance configurations, so you can go with this instance optimize storage optimize server configuration basically. And if you look at the instance type basically, you can just see I series and D series over there. Okay, and if you look at the HPC optimize, you can see it's a high performance computing power basically instance to build more offer best price. Okay, and if you have any high performance workload basically or complex operations, then you can use with this HPC optimize instance configuration. Okay, and you can see the configuration here, instance type basically. Okay, and if you look at the pricing model for the EC2 instance, we have a different pricing model or options, you can say, right? So there are free tier pricing model. When we initially launch the EC2 instance, we get 1 year free tier, right, for the particular configuration. So you can use that. On demand pricing model or options, saving plans, reserve instance. Okay, and spot instance, dedicated host, and on demand capacity reservations, and per second billing. Okay, if you want to know more about this, the pricing model basically, you can just search these keywords in the Google Chrome, and you will get the information basically on the AWS official websites. Okay, and the main area is basically things to taken care before launching any EC2 instance. So first, you if someone asks you, hey Namdev, can you please create one EC2 instance for me? So don't go blindly and create any EC2 instance. Okay, just go. Obviously, if you are working in the project, you need to first create proper Jira ticket over there, and you need to take care of this, which I am now going to explain. Okay, understand the requirement basically, like use cases, workload, traffic pattern. Okay, if there are normal use cases and no more traffic basically, then you can, it will help basically to design your architecture for the EC2 instance or auto scaling, like that. Okay, and you also understand about the how much disk space required, memory and the CPU basically. Okay, according to your workload and traffic pattern, right? So for the disk space, I would say just don't go with the higher number. Like if you want to launch any EC2 instance, and you just directly create the EBS volume with the 100 GB size. Okay, but after that you realize after 1 month or something, there are only 1 GB or 2 GB something in the utilization basically, or let's say 10 GB. So remaining 90 GB, you need to pay unnecessary bills for that. Okay, so just make sure you should always go with the minimum number, like this space, like 10 GB or 15 GB something. uh, in the future, if their disk space getting full, obviously you can increase the disk space anytime. Okay, I have already created the video on my channel, so you can just if you have not watched, you can just watch that. Okay, so I have mentioned the end-to-end process, like how we can increase the disk space basically. Okay, and then for the security point of view, You also need to understand which ports need to be opened from which network basically, if there are any applications which required public facing basically. So this kind of way you can just ask and or get the requirement from the client or within internal meetings, okay, after discussion. Then does AWS require, no, sorry, AC2 required backups? If backup required, then how much, how many days backup required basically? Last 1 week backup required or 1 month, something depends on their business criticality. Okay, so according to that, you can just go with the backup operations. Okay, so if you did, if you are launching an EC2 instance and that instance need any other want to connect that EC2 instance any other teams, like so you can get those information as well. And if EC2 instance is used for non-production environment, then you can add scheduler for daily stop and start the instance, okay, after the business hours basically, non-business hours, to save the cost basically. Okay, then according to use cases and workload, design auto scaling and load balancer, right? So if you have a major workload and heavy traffic out there, so in that situation we can use auto scaling and load balancer feature. Okay, so depends upon the requirement and your discussion basically. If you have a normal use case, then obviously you can go with the normal instance type there, no need to configure auto scaling or something. Okay, then post launch EC2 instance, just make sure you should enable the monitoring part, okay, because that is required when you launch any EC2 instance and you install some packages and you hand over to the particular team. Then to resource monitoring, you need to enable the monitoring basically. Okay, either you can go with the Grafana or CloudWatch. So that's all for the today's session for the as part of the EC2 instance. Okay, as a playlist AWS for beginners. So how to create the EC2 instance, I have already created one video in my channel. Okay, I will definitely add that link in the I button or description box, so you can just follow how to create the EC2 instance. Okay, so in the next session, we will see AWS for beginners day 3 for the EBS volume. Okay, where we can understand the how many types of EBS volume, what things we need to take care and all, right? Yeah. So that's all for the today's. Thank you.